If you sound like me today, you need Allergy Relief. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker. I'm here at the Limerick Chiropractic Center, and we are going to talk about allergy relief today. In fact, this is one of those things that affects a lot of people this time of the year. You hear this throat. No, I don't have allergies. Unfortunately, I was outside working. But here's the thing. This is exactly what somebody sounds like when they have an allergy, when they have different types of respiratory issues. And the amazing thing is that 1 in 5 people in the United States suffer with some type of an allergy. It's that prevalent. Now, an allergy is very simple. If you don't have them, that's wonderful. If you do have them, I'm sorry for you. An allergy is your body overreacting to something that's absolutely normal. It's amazing. I know people who can sit there, they can sleep with their dogs, not a problem in the world. I know other people who walk into a room that, maybe a dog had walked through and, they start hacking and sneezing and coughing like crazy. Sounding like this. It's a wonderful thing. But you know what? In the end, it means that our body is overreacting to something normal. Now, today what we're going to do is we're going to be focusing not on some of the science behind it. What we're going to do is we're going to be talking about some of the things that you can do to help yourself relieve and eliminate some of those type of symptoms. And in fact, like we talked about, with the allergies, we get the postnasal drip, we get the coughing, the sneezing. You know what comes with it. You've seen the TV commercials. The person with the red nose and constantly having that, the tissue in hand. Sadly, this is how I learned about the benefits of chiropractic, was through the fact that one of my best friends growing up as a kid, he had such bad allergies. His mother, who was a nurse, took him to the allergy specialist. He was getting 5 and 10 allergy shots a week. Just a huge number. In fact, it got to the point where he eventually stopped coming out to play. And I recognized, how devastating it was, not just for me, but also for him. And in turn, it wasn't until he started to engage in better choices and start getting adjusted that he eventually was able to come back out. And we were able to start to play outside once again. And even today, Jimmy is no longer suffering from those allergies that at one time he had to take shots for. So the hope is that as you have your takeaways from these lessons, what it is, it's going to not only help you, but possibly somebody else that you know, in order to make sure that they're not one of those individuals that ends up getting stuck inside. Because let me tell you, this is not a good choice. It's not how you want to live your life. It's not okay. If there's one thing that we recognize over the last couple of years is how isolation breeds more problems mentally and physically than we could possibly imagine. But if we just talk about the physical, listen, there's this great thing that's outside. It's called the sun, and that sunshine vitamin, that vitamin D, and how it stimulates us mentally, but also from that physical level, boosting our body's ability to function, our immune system's ability to fight off disease and other problems. We want to make sure that that gets stimulated. Being stuck inside does not absolve us from coming in contact with irritants that might produce problems. Just because we limit the environment doesn't mean that we limit the body's overreaction to negative stimulus. Those two things don't necessarily happen just because we do them. So in turn, we're going to talk about the better ways. In fact, tonight before we're finished, I want you to leave me a message on what was the thing that you're going to use? What's the thing that you're going to put into your repertoire, your recipe list of things, in order to make sure that if in fact you experience some of these allergies, or somebody, you're able to talk about those safe alternatives to help them dealing with those seasonal allergies. Now, One of those things is certainly making sure that we're consuming some of those fermented foods, the kefir, the kimchi. And as we're consuming those, it is going to help facilitate our gut to function better. And I know that I'm oversimplifying it. It's okay. Let's understand that our nervous system runs every system in our body, including our immune system. But we have this gut, this stomach of ours, the intestines. It happens to be what we recognize as a secondary immune system. And we're going to talk about how we're able to stimulate that too in order to make sure that it's performing at that optimal level so that it's removing as many toxins and byproducts out of our system as possibly can be, so that we're able to eliminate a buildup of toxins from within. Because when we have those toxins building up, well, guess what? It's just going to continue to pile up. And sooner or later, it's sort of like a cup that's underneath a drippy faucet. Eventually, it's going to overflow. And problems are going to ensue. And that's the same thing for inside of our body. So fermented foods are going to help our digestive system to function more at that optimal level. Now, one of the things that has become very, very common to be talked about for gut health happens to be bone broth. Whether it's from beef or lamb or chicken, it doesn't matter. The collagen, the minerals that are carried, into the system by consuming this are absolutely amazing. There are whole videos on YouTube just on the benefits of bone broth. And it goes well beyond fighting off digestive issues, immune system, allergy issues. The benefits are absolutely incredible. Now, here's the one mistake, though, that most people make. They take that glass, they take that cup of bone broth, and what they do is, they sort of drink it like a shot. They drink it down as quick as possible. Watch my head go back and forth. That's not the way this product should be consumed. You should sip on it. You should be taking it in small increments so that it trickles through that digestive system of yours. In turn, it gives your body the ability to absorb and get the nutrients out of the product, as opposed to, just simply pushing it through as quick as it possibly can. So this is one of my absolute favorites. And most of you already have these things on the shelf at home. The apple cider vinegar, the fresh lemon, and also the locally grown honey. Now let's understand something. Each one of these is super important. And this formula is very, very simple. 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, and then 1/2 tablespoon of raw local honey. That local is very important, because what we want to make sure that as those bees are pollinating and collecting material from our local environment, that's exactly what we're using in order to help ourselves build that sensitivity in our system. Now, I will tell you, this can be rather potent. So be warned that when you do consume this, you want to consume it a couple of times a day, but you also need to recognize that honey helps to also carry you through the strong flavor of the lemon juice, all right, and the apple cider. So if in fact you've never heard of spirulina, this happens to be plankton. It happens to come from seaweed in the ocean. I've had the opportunity of chewing on this. If you get it in the powder form, you really don't want that. You really want the tablet form, okay? The wonderful thing is how it's able to help reduce the histamine reaction inside your body. When we have these allergies, one of those things that ends up occurring is your body steps right into a reactionary mode. So the coughing, the sneezing, the runny nose, that's all a histamine reaction. This is a natural means by which we're able to dial back that particular reaction. Now, for some of you, you've never heard of this before. For others of you, you're shaking your head up and down like, yes, I've heard of this before. I would encourage you to make sure that you keep this on the shelf at your house. In fact, not just that, but you also want to make sure that you're keeping things around like this nasal irrigation device, the Nasaline product. It allows for you to flush out and irrigate the sinuses and the nasal passage to just simply clear the dust and debris. Amazingly, we suck up a lot of materials. Now, if you've never been outside in the yard in the summertime, when it's in July, the ground is rock hard, you're mowing the lawn, you look like Pigpen out there. You're kicking up all types of dust and debris. And you come in and you blow your nose and you can see all the dust and debris that ends up on your tissue. Well, let me tell you, what you see on the tissue is only a part of what you've just inhaled, and it gets trapped up in the sinuses. The Nasaline helps to irrigate water, saline through those sinuses so that you can flush out, you can clean out that debris so you can get rid of those irritants out of that tissue. And let me tell you, if in fact it sits there too long, it's a petri dish. It's a petri dish for all types of trouble, including sinus infections. And the problem is that once it's there, it is so hard to get rid of. It is the perfect petri dish environment. So, when in fact you're going to be doing that type of work, you want to plan to make sure that you do this immediately afterwards. My Nasaline sits in my shower. It's there. It's readily available for me. So in fact, it's part of things that we do as a maintenance process just to make sure that we're keeping that part of our body functioning at that optimal level. Now, essential oils are absolutely fabulous. They are, just like the rainbow, so many different ones, so many different types. I will tell you, when we start talking about seasonal allergies, when we start talking about helping to boost the immune system and fighting things off, I know there's a bunch listed up here: the eucalyptus, the lavender, the peppermint, but there's one that's not listed. Oil of oregano. Now I know there's some of you Italians out there that say, hey, listen, I cook with oregano all the time. I have it on the shelf at the house. Really, really good. Well, we're not talking about the leaf form. We're talking about the oil form. And it only takes a drop or two for you to understand how potent this product is. It will clear you out. I started this morning by taking a shot of oil of oregano. Not voluntarily, my wife gave it to me along with Manuka honey. So just to let you know, yes, we do exactly what we tell you to do. Oh, by the way, there's a dose coming my way this evening in order to help to continue to clear the system and for this to function better. But the amazing thing is, these are things that you could find at your local Whole Food store. Your local grocery store is going to carry these things. And many of us, we really need to be reminded of the basics. For some, we're so worried about the more advanced things that we sort of forgot about the basics that we want to do, like drinking enough water. Many of us want to go to those advanced levels of how to deal with things, when in fact, we really need to start with these basic vital needs for our body. And in this case, drinking and consuming enough water, it's an absolute necessity, because we have to flush the system of the toxins, of the debris. And if in fact we're not drinking 50% of our body weight in ounces of water, then the problem is that, we're not doing our job. We're not getting out of the blocks at all. And if we're not getting out of the starting gate, why should we ever want to engage in anything else if we haven't done this one simple and basic thing? Listen, I know that we all have kitchens. We have these things called taps in the kitchen, faucets. It's a matter of just walking over to it, pouring yourself a glass and drinking it on down. Now, your chiropractic care is one of those things that we can't forget. How is it that we fight off disease? How is it that we end up making sure that the immune system can function at an optimum level? How is it that we make sure that when our body comes in contact with something, it sees it as a situation and not as a problem? It doesn't overreact to something normal. Well, that's by making sure that you're getting checked. My friend Jimmy, he was not going in the right direction physically until his mother presented him to a chiropractor and he finally got checked. And he finally got adjusted where his brain was capable of communicating with the system and within the environment the way it's supposed to. In turn, at that point, his body started to recognize this is normal. This isn't a crisis. This is absolutely normal. Therefore, he didn't have to overreact to something that's normal. And I know some of you out there, you want to hear, well, that's all well and good, doc, but, well, let me tell you, there's also that little science thing that comes into play. And we recognize that we use a blood marker called the serum thiol level to help measure the function of our immune system. And as you get adjusted, and as you stimulate the system to continue to function at that optimum level, your serum thiol level continues to go up and up and up. See, the amazing thing is that this isn't a news story. This is exactly why people presented themselves to chiropractors for so many years. Not because of headaches, not because of low back pain, but because of allergy and asthma problems, debilitating health concerns. We recognize that as we understand more and more and more about the function of the body, we get to better understand how it is that we're able to help stimulate the system to function better. Now, like I asked you and told you before, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. Yes, I want to hear from you. What was their big takeaway today? But number 2, make sure that you like this video. By doing so, it helps others in the community just simply learn more about what chiropractic and better health choices can do for them. The last thing is to share this. Share it amongst your Facebook friends. Because we don't know how many people out there might have allergies, might be suffering needlessly. But what we do know is that in hearing this information, they have choices. They have options. They have hope. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center.